Was yours on Peter? I mean, the other one?
Yeah, Julian.
Mine was Peter.
Yeah, I figured. They did a good job.
They did a good job. They did a good job. It doesn't help his grandmother's Austrian.
Terrific. So as we're waiting for the
Yes.
That's
adjudicators
great.
to
Learn the
come
accent.
up with their
What country you
results,
guys
we
are?
thought it would be
I'm
interesting
originally
to
Lebanese.
talk to
Oh.
3 playwrights about their process and find out a little bit about what inspires you. So my first question is, how do you come up for the ideas for the plays that you write? Anybody want to go first?
I have a microphone, I put it in Ron's house.
Excellent.
Get some great ideas.
In the bedroom, no, that's
Right.
very nice.
Very
Okay.
nice.
Pat, you have it?
He talks to his
No, she's not here, thank God. Well, we all have families, and I think we often look to our families for ideas, and you know, all good theater, all good plays have to have conflict. If you don't have conflict, you don't have a good play. And sometimes families just give us a lot of very interesting conflict.
I teach history and economics and politics, and the subject matter that I teach gives me all kinds of things to think about. And I agree, family situations are always interesting.
It's, every day you run into situations and people will say to me, oh, there's an idea for a play. It doesn't happen that way. The idea actually would come to me, but it's based on something that I've seen when I'm walking, when I'm eating in a restaurant, and then I can go on from there.
Okay. So I'm going to start with you, Marv, and then I'll move down this way. When you write, do you outline the play first, or do you write from beginning to end?
I do not outline. I just wake up at 5 in the morning, and I get a lot of ideas at that time. And then I can stay with those ideas, and then I go from there and just create from there.
Okay. Bernie, how about you?
I outlined, I didn't outline, and neither one works.
Okay, very good.
Sometimes an idea inspires me and I can just run with it. Sometimes I have to step back and outline. And so it's really a process that depends on the play. And sometimes your gut feel just brings you forward, and sometimes it doesn't.
Once you have the idea, I really have to outline it and structure it before I start writing. And so I do an extensive outline. And the characters that are in my head, I write down and I outline them so I kind of better understand them. And once that's in place, you can go and start to write. And as you go along, often characters take a life of their own, and sometimes they go places you didn't think they were going to go, and sometimes other characters appear. So that's the fun part, I think, of writing, because you never know where your character is going to take you. You think you're going one way, and then all of a sudden they're going in another way. So that makes it awfully interesting. So it's a great application, and for the parents and friends of the students here, you're very lucky to have a child that is interested in expanding their abilities to write and express themselves. So congratulations for raising nice kids.
I would amplify that. I think that I always have a plan in my head, at least for where a character is going to end up by the end of the performance. And sometimes the characters literally have a mind of their own, and if you don't listen to the characters as you're writing the dialogue, you'll lose the essence of your play. So structure is good, but too much, I guess,
It's almost a little mystical, because I can have a line, and then my character will come back with a line. I didn't even know he was going to say that, and then I can say the next line, and it just goes on that way. It's really very interesting.
So when did you first decide that you would be a playwright?
I started when I was very young, and then I totally lost it. Went into business, and it wasn't until let's say 7, 8, 10 years ago that I started writing again, and brought it up. I've been fortunate.
In my case, when I started teaching, it just became a natural evolution out of my teaching.
And mine involved, I was in advertising in my career, and So I always dealt with the creative product. So when I retired and I had nothing to do, I actually started writing screenplays. And screenplays are terribly painful because you never see them produced. And I met this nice lady at Florida Studio Theaters who was
So now you're gonna blame me.
and she was teaching playwriting. And what I learned about playwriting is that if you work at it, you can actually see your work produced, unlike in film. It's very hard. So thanks to you, a few of my plays have made it to the stage. And I think to see your words on the stage performed by great actors who make your plays better is just a real thrill. And so I have a wonderful, wonderful hobby.
All right, so you said seeing your plays performed by wonderful actors on stage. That is a joy, absolutely. However, I think you probably have all had the experience that what you have written, when you see it on stage, is not what was in your head or what you thought. It very often
Very true.
loses something in translation. So what do you do? I mean, I think the first time, it's a surprise for every playwright when that happens, the first time. But after that, what do you do to ensure that the vision that you have for the play is what is produced?
I think the director has most of the control over it. They can't change any of your words, but they can change the thought with keeping the same words. So I think it's trying to get your ideas to the director and tell him how you really feel about this character, and then hopefully it'll work.
Playwriting is a contact sport. You really have to, it's an interactive process, and you've been a great mentor to all three of us on stage here. And I learned early on that if you have good mentors who will read your scripts, maybe for a Starbucks gift card, and get some feedback. You have to be, it's an iterative process, and no one can just put out a 90-minute play first draft. It takes, in my case, dozens of drafts.
Well, particularly in filmmaking, it's a collaborative sport, and it takes really a village to do it, and it takes a village to produce a play well. And I think the playwright's responsibility, and this is one person's opinion, is to establish a great relationship with the director. Because if you don't have a great relationship with the director, and you can share your feelings about what you've written to him, then it's not going to get really relayed on to the actor. So I think the relationship between the playwright and the director is often not collaborative. But I think that's a playwright's responsibility to develop that kind of environment with the director to ensure your work is performed the way you would like to see it performed. However, I must say, often with the actors and the directors, they really make your play better. And that's just a wonderful surprise when that happens. They do things that you didn't even think about. And I'm always happy when that happens.
Very good. So the discipline of writing, do you write every day? Do you write at the same time? Are you always working on something?
I'm always working on something, but I'm not disciplined at all. I write when it really moves me. When I have an idea, I'll stick with it, and I can stay up late, and I can get up early, and it just won't leave.
Okay, so it's really the inspiration that motivates.
It's not like every day I have to sit down from 7 in the morning to 3 in the afternoon.
Okay.
I don't do that.
I tend to write early in the morning as well. Do I write every day? I try, but the head of my school is here, and so I have to say I'm very busy teaching, so I just don't have time to write as much as I'd like.
Rob, how about you?
Well, I write in the morning mainly, and if I'm not writing, I actually get anxiety. Writing is the best medicine for me personally. So if I'm not writing, I'm thinking about what I'm writing, or I'm thinking about the character. So I try and write every day, but maybe every other day. But in the off days, I'm still carrying around this play. I think all of us carry these plays around in our head. And sometimes my wife looks at me and she wants to know what I'm thinking about, and fortunately, it's about a play.
It was soliloquy.
Yeah.
All right. So which one of the plays that you've written is the play that is your favorite child?
Mine is Homecoming for Jenny.
And what
It was-
about that play
It
resonates with
was, I think it was the first play that I had at Theater Odyssey that actually came up runner-up. Connie Schindewolf over there came in first.
No,
you? That's okay,
Damn,
Connie, I
Connie.
love you anyway.
Great writer.
good writer.
So was it the content of the play, or was it that that play got recognition?
It was the first time that I saw the recognition from the audience. I sat there and maybe 8 or 9 lines into the play, the audience erupted in laughter. And I go, shh. You know, that was it. I just felt great about it. And it was a successful play, and it's still being shown, played around.
Very good. All right. How about you, Bernard?
I think my play about Alexander Hamilton's son who died in the duel, there's Terry Bowman, who's one of the creators of this event. We should all give Terry a hand. This is the 4th year. Terry said, "How are those millions coming in for your play?" Well, that's right. It's not your Hamilton play. It's the other one who's making it. And people have written me notes of sorrow. Writing that play was a great gift because it helped me understand history better and the human condition better. And I wrote a Greek tragedy at the birth of America, and that, as far as I know, that's never happened before in terms of historical characters. So I'm hopeful that someday my time will come. But whether it does or not, it was an honor to understand the life of a father-son relationship from a perspective of a heroic man who had a tragic flaw. So I'm still working on it, and probably will be for a while, but that's okay.
Okay.
Yeah, man, you're never done.
I know, right.
Probably the play that surprised me the most, and you were there at its birth actually, I was a finalist last year in Theater Odyssey, and that was It's Time to Move, with about 2 babies in the womb, twins, a boy and a girl, and they were arguing about whether they should leave or not. And
Very creative.
when you see it and you talk about it, it sounds like a cute idea, and it was very creative. But it was scary because I didn't know how people would react to it. And like Marv, the first time, even the first time it was read, people liked it. But when it was performed, that was one of the plays that had a terrific director, Don Walker, and it had 2 really terrific actors. And they brought stuff to it, even improv, that made it better. And the audience laughed, and that's why we do this. We do it to entertain people. So,
Very good.
You are professionals, though, right?
yeah, I got $25.
That's great.